Hi, this is a brief introduction to TinyIDE, a replacement IDE for the LiveCode programming environment. TinyIDE should be placed in your user plugins folder, and it should be noted that TinyIDE does not affect the standard LiveCode IDE at all. TinyIDE tries to minimize the amount of room taken up with the standard LiveCode IDE by placing things like the tools palette in a scrollable region, utilizing quick action buttons for the most used areas of the IDE. Buttons for the tools, message box, and property inspector act as toggles, turning the respective palettes on and off. The three layout buttons allow you to dock to the existing LiveCode IDE or to switch between monitors 1 and 2. The Collect Stacks button will collect all open stacks underneath the TinyIDE docked to monitor 1. I find this really useful if perhaps one of your stacks has wandered off the screen. The Web and Apps drop-down is a self-definable list allowing you to launch websites and local apps from within TinyIDE. There's also a button to open the LiveCode dictionary and of course a mode button for run and edit. Creating a new stack from within the TinyIDE will also automatically open the properties palette for the new stack. Adding controls to a card is the same as within the LiveCode IDE. Just drag and drop onto the card. The four grouping buttons allow quick access to LiveCode's normal grouping functions. If either the select grouped or edit grouped buttons are in operation, they are indicated by green icons. Another little helper within TinyIDE is a start-stop timer, which can be useful for timing programming tasks. TinyIDE can be closed at any time by hitting the X close button, which will then revert LiveCode back to its standard IDE. Various settings are available via the cog button. The first of these being the Web and Apps definable list. Website addresses must be in full, and the name and the location are separated by a comma. A vertical offset can be added to TinyIDE when it's in its dock state or for monitor 1 and 2. This is very useful if you're moving between different systems. So next is a function which I call Object Peek, which I actually think is probably one of the most useful additions to this version of TinyIDE 1.1. You'll notice that once selected, a new area has been added to the TinyIDE, and now when you roll over any object in the LiveCode development environment, you'll see information about that object being displayed in that new area. The information displayed consists of the name of the object, the card it's on, the stack it belongs to, its IDE, the Z or its layer, the X position, Y position on the card, the width, the height of the object, and how many lines of script are contained within or attached to the object. The last function that can be set in TinyIDE is called Code Peek. Once set, this will show any script within the object or control as the mouse rolls over. To hold the script in the Code Peek window, if you do a right click as you're over the object and then drag away, you'll find that you can now scroll up through the lines of text. Okay, so that's about it for this overview. of TinyIDE. I'm always open to new ideas and suggestions on the ways that TinyIDE might be improved. You can get TinyIDE from the website 2108.co.uk. And there's also a dedicated forum there for TinyIDE where you can find information about the latest version of TinyIDE, make any suggestions, or record any bugs should you happen to find any.